Hello friends, welcome to Pulse Field Expert channel. Today we will learn 10 killer tricks for Power Query. These can be used both in Excel and Power BI. However, here we will use Excel as our front end. I have already created a basic Power Query tutorial for beginners. If you need to understand this from the basics, I suggest you watch the video titled Power Query in Excel, the most powerful data transformation tool video. I will leave a link in the description box and on the I button here. Now let us open Excel. We have two sheets here in this Excel. One is named Name and the other is Population. In the Name sheet, we have a name column followed by gender, country, date of birth, and email. In the population sheet, we have all Indian states and the male population and female population numbers. However, we know that this sheet has duplicate values, like in the case of Goa and many others. I will now go back to the name sheet. Here we have the name field, where the name is written as the last name followed by the first name and separated by a comma. Our first task is to separate them and create two columns of first name and last name. First, I will convert these ranges to tables. To do that, I will open the Insert ribbon and click on the table icon while keeping any one cell within the data range selected. I will keep the My Table Has Headers tick box ticked. And we have a table defined. We will rename this table for convenience. Name it Name. We can do the same thing to the population table and name that population. Now we are ready for the next step. Now in the name table, we have the name field with both the last names and first names separated by a comma. Our task is to separate them and create two fields, last name and first name. I will now open the data ribbon and select Get Data from the table or range. This will invoke the Power Query function. Here under the Home tab, we have the function Split Column. This function opens a drop-down with several different sub-options. We will use the By Delimiter option. This opens up the Split Column by Delimiter option. There are many possible delimiter options, including a custom delimiter. However, since our delimiter is a comma, we will go with the default comma option and click OK. And we have two name columns now. I will rename the first one the last name and the second one the first name. Now as we click Close and Load, the Power Query creates a new sheet and names it Name2. Also, the output table from the Power Query is written here. I will rename the sheet as Name New. The old sheet name is the source, and Name New is the output of the Power Query. We have the country column, where many rows of data are missing. This may often happen when we are copying data from pivot tables. Power Query got you covered for this. We can quickly fill up empty cells with the previous or next valid data. We can reopen the Power Query we used by opening the Query ribbon item. This is only visible when a Power Query is already invoked in an Excel file. In the Query ribbon, I will click on the Edit button to reopen the previous Power Query. When the Power Query is open, let us select the Country column and then select the Transform tab and then Fill. We have the option to fill up or fill down. Our data will be correctly filled up if we do fill down. And there it is. We have the whole column filled up. Under the Home tab of Power Query, let us click the Close and Load button to update the output sheet on our Excel. And now the output table's country column is filled up with data. We already noticed that our population table has duplicate rows. We need to get rid of these rows. But how do we do that? Our population table is yet not a part of the Power Query. Therefore, to invoke a Power Query, we will select any cell on the population table and under the Data ribbon menu, click on From Table or Range. This will bring the population table into the Power Query. Now you can see that we have two queries in the Power Query. In the Home tab itself, we have this Remove Rows function. Under that, there are several sub-options, but we need the Remove Duplicate function only, and it is an extremely simple function. As I click on it, it removes all duplicates. Now we can't find that duplicate Goa row that we noticed before the duplicate removal. Click Close and Load, and we have a new population 2 sheet with the output of the Power Query. I will rename the sheet Population New, reposition it, and that's it. We are done with the duplicate removal. We will learn to group data in the Power Query. We will pick up an easy example. We have the gender column here. The values in the column are male and female. We want to group by gender and find the count for each value. Let us open the Power Query window. Here we have both the name and population tables in our Power Query. We will select the name table as the gender variable is part of the name table. First, I will make a copy of the name table query. I can do that by using the right-click context menu. There we have the copy of the name table query. I will rename this to gender count. Sorry about the typo in the screen capture. I will now select the gender column and open the Transform ribbon menu on the Power Query window. Here the first item is Group By. After I click it, the Group By window opens. Here we will keep the operation as count rows. It is possible to use other measures like sum, average, etc., but we will use the count rows function and click OK. There we have a table where we have the count of rows for grouped values of gender variables. After I click the Close and Load button, a new sheet for the new table is inserted with the output of the Power Query. Transposing data is also possible in the Power Query. I will use the population table to demonstrate this. The population table has the state's name in the first column, count of the male population in the second column, and the count of the female population in the third column. Now, if we select all columns and under the Transform menu, click the Transpose function, all the columns now become rows and all rows become columns. Our previous columns, states, male population and female population, are now in rows, and all states are individual columns now. However, the data is purely on the table, and the column heads are now just numbered columns. We can solve the problem by clicking on the function Use the first row as headers in the Home ribbon of the Power Pivot. If we need to bring the headers back to the data, we can use the other function, Use headers as the first row, to bring the header back into the data. However, if we select the whole table again and click Transpose under the Transform menu, we will get back to the table we started with. In the name table, we have a date of birth column. We want to calculate the age from this. Let me open the Power Query window. Here, I select the date of birth column. Now, I will open the Add Column ribbon menu while keeping the date of birth column selected and use the age function. This will create a new column with age as on date. However, the formatting for this column is in time format. I will now open the Transform ribbon menu and keep the newly created age column selected. Here, I will select the duration function and select the total years subfunction. This will convert the time format to years in decimal. If we want whole numbers in age, then the column formatting may be changed to the whole number. As usual, we will click the Close and Load to return the newly calculated age to the output name table. For pivoting and unpivoting, we will use the population table. I will edit the PowerQuery by opening the Query ribbon and then clicking the Edit button. The population table has the state name in the first column, then the male population and female population columns. That means every state has two attributes, male population and female population. In this population table, they are placed in the same row. Therefore, you can say that this table is already pivoted. If we select the male population and female population columns, and under the Transform ribbon, use the Unpivot columns, we can then see the same data in a different format. Here we have each state appearing twice, and a new column has the attribute of male and female population. And then there is a value column for storing the values of each attribute. This format is typically a preferred format for data storage. We will learn about the advantages and disadvantages of the pivoted and unpivoted data at some other time. If we now want to pivot our data, we can select the attribute and value columns, and in the Transform ribbon, use the Pivot column function. This opens a dialog box. Here, we select the value field and click OK. Now it is back to the pivoted table format again. Column based on example is a very powerful feature in PowerQuery to create any new column based on data available in other columns. You can create complex rules without writing any formula or code. Say we want to create a column with something like Harpreet from Google, where Harpreet is taken from the first name, then a text string from is added, and then the company name is taken from the email address. To achieve this, I will start the Power Query editor. Then, under the Add Column menu, select the function Column from Examples and select From All Columns from the drop-down. This will add a new column where I will start typing Harpreet from Google. As I finish, it immediately fills up all rows with the first name and then from Google. But that's not what I want. I want to have the company name taken from the email address. Well, I will now edit the second row and in place of Google type Infosys. As I do it, the function quickly understands what I am looking for and changes company names and takes them from the email address. However, for BMW, the function has made a mistake by naming it bmw.co. If I delete the .co part, now it got everything right. The idea here is to continue editing until you get all rows correct. And the function gets that within a few steps for most requirements. I will rename this column created in the last example to Description. I want this column to move next to the first name column. The process is very simple. Just click and hold the Description column and physically move that next to the first name column. Then we can update the output table by clicking the Close and Load to return the newly calculated and moved column to the main output table. Often, you may want to add an index column to your data. With PowerQuery, that's easy. In the PowerQuery window, open the Add Column ribbon. Here you have a function named Index Column. If you click this, you open a dialog box for the index column creation. Here one can specify the starting index. You can define that to be 0, 1, or any other number for that matter, and define increment as 1. Then click OK. You have an index column. You could edit this function further to define the starting index as 101 or any number of your choice, and the index will be likewise. So these were the top 10 most important functions to learn for every data analyst. Hope you learned them well and will be able to use them in your future projects. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, kindly like, share, and subscribe to the Pulse FE channel.